doing this, but I'm so excited to be here with you guys and welcome you to our pet talk. We have an amazing lady on this call today that's going to be sharing with you guys. She's not only a dear friend of mine, but she is a veterinarian from Atlanta, Georgia. And Dr. Alisan Parnes graduated from the University of Georgia and has been practicing for the last 18 years. She is certified in veterinary acupuncture, and she has been involved with LifeVantage and using nutrigenomics with her patients for the last 6 years. She and her family recently moved to a 70-acre farm in North Georgia, where she spent her time raising her 2 boys, cats, dogs, and her chickens. She currently does relief work with a local rescue organization doing spay and neuters for pets, and also works to spread awareness and educate people how to optimize their animals' health using nutrigenomics. So I just would like to welcome Dr. Alisan Parnes to the call, and she's going to share with you guys some incredible information.
Thank you, Jenny, and thank you everybody who's on the call today and who is watching from Facebook. I am excited to be here, and thank you for letting me share. You know, I'm sure if you're watching, you're all pet lovers, and you want to do everything possible to help your pets live long, healthy lives. And I know in my practice, so many clients come in and ask me about different supplements and what can they do to help their pets live longer, be healthier, you know, and they'll go and they'll buy all these different things at the pet store, and they'll come in and, you know, a lot of times I don't know what these things are, you know, I've never seen the brand before, or I might have heard of it, but I can't really tell them for sure that, yes, this is going to do X, Y, and Z for your pet. So I was actually very thrilled when I learned about this product that I'm going to share with you today and the science behind it, because I truly believe that it is life-changing for our pets. And this really is something that I can put my name behind as something that I truly feel will make a difference for your pets in the long haul. So as Jenny mentioned, I've been practicing for almost 20 years now, and love my job. I love educating people, and I really love to be able to share things that that are a little bit more holistic than just prescribing drugs all the time. You know, about 10 years into my practice, I really got disenchanted with Western medicine in a lot of ways, because I just felt like I was prescribing drugs for to treat conditions. And then a lot of times you would run across side effects from those drugs, and you'd have to use other drugs to combat that. And I kind of felt like I was just, you know, I was chasing the problem, not getting in front of it. And what I love about what I'm going to share with you today is really coming from a preventative standpoint. Like, what can we do to, you know, ward off disease? What can we do to potentially help the body fight back and maybe prevent a lot of things that might happen otherwise? And so anyway, I'm very passionate about this. I'm going to share my screen with you and just kind of go through a little bit about what this is. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about is how to flip the switch on your pet's health and longevity. So as I mentioned, really, what's important to me is, you know, especially this long out of school and in my practice, is really trying to get to the root cause of disease. You know, conventional medicine definitely has its strengths. You know, we all need need to have those urgent care needs met, or sometimes surgery, and those are fantastic things to have, you know, in modern medicine. But oftentimes conventional medicine will fall short of really resolving issues on a deep level, you know, especially when we're talking about chronic or degenerative diseases. And, you know, people are becoming more aware about just prevention for themselves and also their pets, and just keeping them healthy rather than waiting until you're already in a disease pattern and having to play catch up. So it's really about being proactive in terms of medicine and health versus reactive. So I love the proactive approach. So first, let's talk about, you know, where does the root cause of all disease happen? Well, it begins in the cell. Health resides in our cells. And if you have healthy cells, you have healthy tissues, healthy organs, and a healthy body. And so, you know, what happens over time, though, and throughout our lives, is that these cells can become damaged. And usually the damage occurs from something called free radicals. It leads to oxidative stress, damage to the cells, and eventually cell death, which is what you see there on the right. And so oxidative stress and free radicals can come from basically everything we're exposed to in our environment. They're created through normal processes of life, such as breathing and eating, metabolic processes, and even exercise. But they're also created by toxic things in our environment, such as pollution, chemicals, EMFs, fuels from our car, you know, and this happens in all mammals, humans as well as animals. And, you know, it's essentially the same thing as the browning of an apple. You know, you cut it open and leave it exposed to oxygen and it turns brown. Also happens with the rusting that occurs on metal. And essentially, this is what is happening inside of our cells. We're, you know, as we get older, kind of rusting on the inside. And as you get this accumulation of free radicals and rust in the body, that is what is called or known as oxidative stress, where you have this imbalance of free radicals and the lack of being able to combat those free radicals. And this number was calculated at some point about how many free radicals do we have or produce per day, or our cells are exposed to. And the average person has been shown to produce 300 sextillion free radicals a day. So that's a whole lot of zeros. That's a whole lot of fire that's going on within our bodies. And, you know, animals actually, I believe this number is even higher, just, and we'll go through that today because of their lifestyle, their diets, and different things that, you know, they deal with that we don't necessarily deal with. So again, we need to figure out a way to combat this oxidative stress and slow down this cellular damage. So this is something called the oxidative stress wheel. And I like to show this because it just shows truly how oxidative stress is at the heart of everything that you don't want in your body. It really is the root cause of over 200 common diseases, pretty much any disease you can think of in your pet or yourself even. And so anything from inflammation, fibrosis, autoimmune diseases, even cancer. And, you know, you can see these different examples here. And, you know, dogs, this happens to be the human oxidative stress wheel, but dogs and cats are animals, suffer from many of the same diseases that humans do. So, you know, allergies, arthritis, dermatitis, macular degeneration, and even doggy dementia. And so depending on the pet or individual, it can manifest in different ways. And, you know, aside from disease states, oxidative stress is the reason, you know, it is why we age. And so we need to really do everything that we can to combat oxidative stress in order to, you know, slow these processes down. So let's talk about oxidative stress from a veterinary perspective. And first, I want to say, if you guys have questions, what I thought I would do is just after this presentation, we can go through and answer questions. So if you have questions along the way, just type them in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer as many of those questions as I can at the end. So you know, how does this affect our pets? How does oxidative stress affect it? Well, we know that it affects all tissues in the body. So every cell, every organ, and it affects all species, as I mentioned, dogs, cats, horses, any mammal, you know, that breathes oxygen, which they all do, are going to suffer from oxidative stress. And so it makes sense that, you know, we would want to utilize tools to reduce this oxidative stress to help our pets age more gracefully. And we know that our companion animals age much faster than we do. There's that whole saying of, you know, for every 1 human year equals 7 dog years, you know, so we know that they age faster than we do, and we want them to live a long life. We also know that our animals are exposed to many more toxins than we are. And, you know, if you look at it, most of them are getting insecticides put on them or ingesting them every month to prevent fleas and heartworms. You know, they're getting dewormed. They're also being exposed to a lot of things on the ground, you know, just outside. They're walking around with their bare feet, you know, they don't have shoes on, they're rolling around in the yard. So again, pesticides are a common thing, different toxins that might be found in the soil or the ground that they're eating, you know, things. I mean, you know, dogs eat a lot of really gross things. So they're drinking out of water puddles and lakes and ponds, and who knows, you know, they're what they're ingesting, but not all of it is good for them. So, and the other thing is, you know, tap water. Tap water has a lot of different chemicals and heavy metals and hormones, pesticides. I mean, we don't often think about tap water, but that's a big one. And then also, most of our pets are on heavily processed foods, kibbles, and these foods are generally heated at very high temperatures. They that create carcinogens. Many have preservatives and glycophosphates, GMOs. So, you know, these are the things that they're eating every day. So how do we fight oxidative stress and free radicals? So I'll get into the approach, but I want to just describe sort of the difference between direct and indirect antioxidants. We all know, probably have heard of antioxidants, you know, vitamin C, vitamin E are, you know, the things we get from eating fruits and juices and things like that. Those are all great, but the problem is that they don't fight free radicals off at a very high level. They actually only work on a 1-to-1 ratio. So you take a vitamin E, you're only fighting off 1 free radical. So it's a one and done process. And if you remember that 300 sextillion number per day, you can see how 1 and 1 is not probably very efficient, right? It's kind of like pouring a Dixie cup of water on a house fire versus enzymes in our body that we produce. These are indirect antioxidants such as SOD, catalase, glutathione. These are enzymes that are produced by our cells that will neutralize 1 million free radicals every second of every day. So now we have a fire hose in every room of the house, right, to put out this house fire. This is how powerful our bodies are when they are activated to do this work. And the problem is, as we get older and as our, you know, all the things in our environment kind of wear us down, these enzymes start to decrease in number over time. And so the older we get, the fewer amount of antioxidant enzymes we have. And so that is why, as you age, this oxidative stress gets higher and higher and higher. And so science has found a way to actually turn that antioxidant production back on, and that's through something called NRF2 activation, NRF2. And this is what our product does. It activates a gene that tells our body to start making more of these direct antioxidants, so we can really combat free radicals on a very high level. Much more effective than taking an antioxidant. We are actually getting the body to make them. And we do this through something called nutrigenomics. And nutrigenomics is simply using nutrition and naturally occurring compounds to affect gene expression. And this is starting to become a buzzword in health and wellness, but this technology really goes back thousands of years in Ayurvedic and Eastern medicine. I'm sure you've all heard the quote, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. And truly, for eons, we've known that food and herbs can be a type of medicine. And now, though, we can explain it scientifically, which is really great. And this is what NRF2 activation does. It's like a light switch that flips on the body's own survival genes to reduce oxidative stress. And so the product we have is called Pet Tandem. Now, it's labeled for dogs, but it can be used off-label for cats and other mammals. It is actually developed from a human product called Protandem NRF2. And essentially, it's the same herbs that are in the human product that they developed for pets in a chewable flavored form. So there is actually when the human product came out, people were using it for themselves or taking it and giving it to their pets, and their pets had such a great response with it that the company ended up making a version for dogs. And essentially, it's a blend of 5 herbs. It was formulated in the early 2000s by a world-renowned biochemist, Dr. Joe McCord. And he actually did the first study that was ever done on humans. And in this human study, it showed that after taking Protandem for 30 days, that there was an average of 40% reduction in oxidative stress in just 30 days. And so this got the attention of a lot of scientists, the medical community, and many studies started happening as a result of that, which I'll kind of share a little more about in a minute. But the thing for me as a vet that I found really astonishing and just kind of funny is just that this is the only supplement for dogs that was tested in humans first. Like, how crazy is that? You don't typically see that. So anyway, I think it's really cool. And these are the 5 herbs that are in Pet Tandem. You have milk thistle, bacopa, ashwagandha, green tea extract, and turmeric. So these are 5 herbs that are well known, well studied, that have been used for thousands of years in Eastern medicine. In addition to these 5 herbs, Pet Tandem also has omega-3 fatty acids, extra joint support with chondroitin, hyaluronic acid, and type 2 collagen. So you're getting really good additional stuff in there for the joints and the skin. And, to me, this is really the best bang for your buck because it targets every cell in the body, rather than having to have a different supplement for every single organ system, like something for the skin, something for the joints, something for the liver, something for the kidneys. You've got pretty much, every cell and every organ system targeted because you're focusing at the cellular level to reduce oxidative stress. So for me, this was a great replacement for a lot of these dogs that were taking, maybe 5, 6, 7 different supplements a day. It's like, wow, you can really eliminate a lot of that stuff just by taking Pet Tandem. This is another thing that I love is that we actually have a clinical study that was done out of a hospital in Colorado that was a double-blind placebo-controlled study. And it took a group of dogs. Half of the dogs were given Pet Tandem and half were given a placebo. And the vets didn't know which group was taking what. The owners didn't know. And of course, the dogs didn't know, right? And dogs don't lie. Like, there's no placebo effect in dogs. And it was funny because before the end of the study, what they were looking at was just overall assessments in their mobility. And then they were also looking at changes in the blood work. And what was really great is that before the study was even unblinded, the owners and the veterinary technicians and staff could tell which group of dogs was taking the Pet Tandem because they could see just in front of them that the dogs on Pet Tandem were more energetic, playful, alert. And, so they already knew before the study was even unblinded, just watching the dog's response. And at the end of the study, it showed that the dogs taking Pet Tandem had improvements in their mobility scores, their cognitive function, and then also the enzymes that are involved in reducing oxidative stress had increased. So 36% increase in catalase. And this was actually published in a very prestigious journal, that leads pretty much leading edge science. And so there's really no other dog product on the market that has the technology and the science behind it that this does. So as I mentioned, after that first human study was done, it got the attention of a lot of the scientific community. So if you go to pubmed.gov, this is the National Institute of Health Library of Medicine. This is where all doctors go to do their own research on things, where you can pretty much find information on every disease, every drug. And Protandim actually has over 26 peer-reviewed studies out of these universities in medical schools, which is astonishing to have, these schools putting their own money behind the research on a branded herbal product. You do not see that, I promise you. It is really unheard of. Most of the time they're researching pharmaceuticals. So to me, this was, as a doctor, huge, because not only do we have something natural, that we have the science to back it up and the studies to prove it. And so if you go to pubmed.gov and type in Protandim, it'll pull up all these studies. There's actually a study in there that shows that it extends lifespan in mice. And there were, they looked at several different natural products to see if any of them would truly extend life, and Protandim actually did. And so again, we can say we have the first anti-aging supplement on the market for animals, which is awesome. So how can Protandim help our pets? Well, so I know a lot of people, and I probably, when I get back to look at the questions, maybe people are asking, well, my dog has this condition or that condition, or how will Protandim help this? Well, we have to go back to that oxidative stress wheel to see all of the different things that oxidative stress can lead to. And we know, almost every disease condition or every degenerative problem, and even just aging, are affected by oxidative stress. So it really stands to reason that no matter what type of condition that your pet has, addressing that oxidative stress is definitely going to benefit the animal by just helping them overcome or minimize the problems with those conditions. And, even though we can't claim that Protandim treats, cures, or mitigates any specific disease, you can see how you can connect those dots yourself, that if something is affected by oxidative stress, then reducing that is going to potentially help. So that's usually what I tell people. And really, there's no patient that I wouldn't recommend this for, even at a young age, because if the best time to keep your pet healthy is when they're already healthy. And oxidative stress begins very early and it's cumulative over time. So starting this early in life, will actually be better than waiting until you have a problem and have to catch up for it. But some of the benefits that I can talk about outside of diseases is, you might see better skin and hair coat, increased energy, improved endurance, healthier immune system, better joint health, mobility, reduced pain, allergies, big one, better tooth and gum health, better cardiovascular health, cognitive function improvements, and just in general age-related issues, you see an improvement in as well. So it's dosed based on weight. And so here you can see, the smaller breed dogs would take less. Once you start getting into the 70+ pound range, where you're having to take 3 or 4 tablets a day, I typically will recommend that those dogs just go on the human Protandim, and just because then they only need 1 a day. So you're not going through as many bottles a month on the Protandim. The difference in the human is that it's not chewable and flavored. So that's okay. Just give it a little piece of cheese or a little piece of bread or something like that. My dogs, take it super easy like that. There are dosings for cats. There are dosings for horses. Oftentimes we're using the human version and the dog version interchangeably for those animals. This is also something I like to point out, is that our product has the NASC seal of approval. And this is really important because it stands for the National Animal Supplement Council, and it's similar to the NSF symbol on human products. And it's special because the vast majority of pet supplements on the market really have no third-party seal of approval. So they're not being tested, they're not being checked out, to make sure that there's good quality behind these products, or that the contents is actually, that they say it is what it is. So it's just important to look for that symbol on any product you're purchasing for your pet. And if you see it, then you know that it's from a quality manufacturer and a quality product. And this is a very rigorous third-party organization. They have rigorous guidelines for quality control, labeling, reporting of any adverse events. They do random product testing and random facility audits where they just essentially show up and check on the production. So the fact that our product has that makes me also feel very confident in putting my name behind it and recommending it, because I know it's safe, effective, and a good quality product. So lastly, I just want to share a personal story with you guys from a patient of mine. And this was one of the first patients that I put on Pet Tandem. And this was her name was Ellie, a 15-year-old beagle that came to me as a last resort because she was had been suffering from bilateral cruciate disease. So both of her knees were shot. She had degenerative joint disease all throughout her body, especially on her spine. And so she was in a lot of pain and having a lot of problems walking. She had a difficult time even standing to pee. She would be very wobbly and oftentimes would kind of fall when she was squatting to pee. So the owners were basically having to carry her in and out of the house to go to the bathroom and support her. And they came to me for acupuncture. She was on a lot of medications at the time for pain. And, we had that kind of quality of life talk every time they came in about, it might be getting close to time to start thinking about her if we can't get her better, and so they were just really having a struggle with putting her down. And so when I learned about Pet Tandem, I said, I knew they would be all about it, to try it. And I said, hey, I don't know if this is going to make a huge difference, but I've read the studies. I've heard some really great testimonials from another veterinarian who uses it a lot. And so they were all about it. Well, we started Ellie on this, and about 6 weeks later, I get this video from the owners showing me what Ellie was doing in their backyard. And I would have never in a million years expected this to happen. So I just want to share this with you. So obviously right away you can tell she's excited, she's happy, she's jumping around. This was not something she had done for years. The owner said this was her excited little thing she would do, as a puppy and a young dog, but that she would never be able to do this, in her later years. And so 6 weeks in, they were already seeing just her wake up. It's like her brain waking up. She wasn't sleeping as much. She was excited. She was playful, and her mobility just improved so much. And actually we were able to start weaning her off of pain medications. And so this was a huge success story, and one that I just always share with people because it was, again, it made me such a huge believer. And since then, I've seen a whole lot of other similar things in patients as well. So anyway, I'm going to stop my share, and just happy to take any questions that you guys have. Let me see if we can open the chat here. Okay. Pet related. Okay.
Tina has a question at the very top, Allison. So if you want to scroll all the way up to the top, she has a question about her dog. And then there's a couple more kind of midway.
Okay, for shedding and diet. So, okay, well, so that is a little deep. I can't get into all of that here with Tina, because again, there's a huge dialogue that has to happen between diet and again, without seeing your pet, I can't really offer you medical advice on a specific condition, but I just want to say, start Pet Tandem. Because that's all you got to know right now. Start Pet Tandem. You know, again, I've seen tons of allergies, skin problems, diet related problems. It just, again, there's so many different ways that oxidative stress can affect the body, depending on the genetics of the animal and hereditary conditions and things like that. So if we can reduce oxidative stress, some of these things just may work themselves out. So I would just say, start her on it and then start trying to tweak things, you know, and give it time. It's not going to be overnight. You know, it's kind of like, just imagine you're giving your cat a super salad. Cat, right? Yes. Bingle. Yes. You're giving your cat a super salad every day, right? And we're giving good cellular nutrition. That's what we want to do. And we're working on balance, because really Pet Tandem is, because it's working on the DNA, it's like fine tuning a piano. You know, a lot of times with our bodies and oxidative stress and everything, we get things that are just out of whack. So our immune systems might be really going haywire. Maybe we're immunosuppressed. Maybe there's just things that need to be tuned down and things that need to be lifted up, right? And so Pet Tandem does that. It goes in and just figures out what the body, what is out of whack and where do we need to tone down things? Where do we need to increase things? So that's what I would recommend. And then just see how things start to play out with the symptoms. I love Bengals too. They're so cool. But sometimes, you know, they're the breeding and different things, they can breed things into the line, and, you know, so that's the only problem with like the pure breeds. Okay, let's see. Yes. Oh, and Tina, yes, you can crush the tablets. I find that with cats, so the Pet Tandem is a larger tablet and their dose is a half a tablet a day. And so it's hard to kill them if they won't eat it. So oftentimes what I'll do is order the human Pro Tandem, because their dose of that is only an eighth of a tablet and it's teeny tiny. So usually you can hide that in, like, if they're really good eaters, you can just put that in a little bit of canned food, or you can put it in like a pill pocket treat, or you can manually pill them, and it's a lot easier to get down them. So she said, no way.
You try
Okay.
the bingle and something's going to happen to your fingers.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so it just, to me, sometimes is easier, and that human bottle will last a cat 6 months. So it's going to be really good bang for your buck on that. Okay, then I see Sue. Let's see. I've been giving my 75-pound greyhound 2 tablets a day with great effect. Well, if you feel like that 2 is having great effects, you don't necessarily have to increase it. You know, the weight guidelines are just that. There's been talk about, I mean, for example, horses, you know, think about how heavy they are. They're what, 1,200, 1,400 pounds, right? And they oftentimes will do great on 1 human Pro Tandem. So weight is just something we go by, but if clinically you're seeing an improvement just on those 2 tablets, I would say that's fine. You know, if you start to feel like maybe it's not working as well in the future, then increase that. Okay, let's see. Can you give the Tri-Synergizer to dogs? So I have not recommended that, simply because I don't know how all of the other herbs and the 2 other products would affect dogs necessarily. I don't think it would hurt anything, but because we don't have the long-term research that we have on the Nerf 2, I just haven't been, you know, I haven't been felt good to recommend it for patients yet without kind of knowing more, without those clinical trials and things like that. So we do have that on the Pet Tandem, which is why I put my name behind it. Now, having saying that, I do know people who have given their pets all 3 of the Protandim products and have not seen any adverse events with it. But again, like if something, if say the dog developed diarrhea or a problem, or the cat, and you're not going to know which one necessarily did it. So if you did want to do all 3, I would say start them individually so that if there was a problem, you would know which one it is. But I just give my animals the Nerf too. Let's see. Jamie and C. Oh, okay. Queen Nala. I love Queen Nala. She's getting a lot of attention on this feed.
Dr. Parnes, I do have a question for somebody. She's texted me questions.
Yes.
So she was asking about horses. So you said a horse can do well on just one, but if they're having some kind of health issues that they're targeting, they could up that. I mean, that's kind of what I recommend for humans is if you're in a health crisis, you could increase the dosage till you're well.
Yeah, and I know most people that have horses that are giving Protandim to them, they start them generally at 2 a day. That's generally the recommendation is 2 tablets a day. But there are some people that just for financial reasons might not be able to do that 2 bottles a month. And so I know some who have only given 1 a day and still seen good results. But I think in general, 2 a day is the recommendation. And then if they're having a problem, you can up that to 2 tablets twice a day. So in acute, kind of situations. But okay, I think that is all the questions I see. So with that, just want to let, if you guys are interested in ordering the products for your animals, just get back with the person who either invited you to the video, or if you're on Facebook, whoever invited you to the Facebook group, just check with them. They'll be able to direct you on how to purchase. I do not recommend ordering this off of Amazon or eBay. The company prohibits the sale there. And this day and age, you never know if you're getting the real stuff. You don't want to play around with that. Anything you're ingesting, you want to make sure. So you can actually get it directly from the company through the person that shared it with you. So just get back with them. And I'm on Facebook, so you can tag me if you have any other specific questions. Okay. So thank you everybody for being on today. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. It was fabulous. Glad to meet you.
You too.